We go to our second leading story. The theme of the 7th edition of the Tana High-Level Forum on Peace and Security in Africa was ownership of Africa's peace and security provision, financing and reform of the African Union. The conference came to a close yesterday on Sunday in Ethiopia's northern city of Bahir Dar. Remember, this city was the scene of deadly anti-government protests in 2016, in which at least 50 protesters were killed in one day. Heads of states and governments, high-ranking government officials and experts in peace and security from around the world attended this conference to discuss on the future of peace and security in Africa. Well, oh, sorry, Hanan.
Je rappelle, Linette, que le sommet Tana intervient.
I'd like to remind you that Tana summit comes at a time when Ethiopia got a new president, prime minister, just a few weeks ago, Mohamed Abiy, 42, from Oromo ethnic, who had initiated an unprecedented anti-government protest movement since the current regime took power in 1991, was appointed by the ruling coalition at the end of March. Clashes last year between Oromos and Somalis killed hundreds and forced about 1 million people to abandon their homes, according to a UN report.
Well, Africa's Deputy Editor-in-Chief, Razia Atman, attended this summit in Ethiopia, and she joins us now from Bahir Dar. Razia Atman, I'm sure you must be having a beautiful morning in Ethiopia, considering the fact that it is your first time in the country. What has been your experience so far?
Amesegunalahu, that's thank you in Amharic, which is the national language in Ethiopia. And you're right, I've only been in the country through transit, and that's when I'm traveling across Africa. Now, to answer your question, I'll localize my experience to the Amhara region where we are right now. And the people are quite a proud lot, if you ask me. I've had the chance to speak to the locals here in this regional capital, Bahir Dar, and they're expressing several frustrations, if you like, because this is also the center, the place that has been a scene and a stage for bloody protests against the government here in Ethiopia.
And what has been the big takeaway from this forum? Could you please summarize that for us?
We need finances, we need finances, we need finances. This has been the main plea, the main message from the people who attended the 7th Tana Forum here in Bahir Dar. And several leaders were here, security experts. We had presidents in attendance. Omar al-Bashir, the Sudanese president, was around. We had Idris Dabi, the Chadian president, also in attendance. We had Foreign Asimbe, the Togolese leader. We have people like Grasa Machar, the widow of the South African anti-apartheid hero Nelson Mandela, and they're all arguing on the basis of, financing of these solutions, the ideas that are being discussed, the ideas that are being put forward to be employed to just make sure there is an end to war, to conflict in Africa. The Tana Forum is a platform to explore solutions to the insecurity and peace in Africa, but like the Ethiopian Prime Minister Ahmed Abiy put it, to reflect on the provision of peace and security in Africa and the financial capability of the African Union. We need money. So that is the argument. Nothing can be done without money. Remember, of the 54 member states of the African Union, only less than half have been able to contribute the obligatory funds that are required.
And from the issues that have been pointed out, what direction will you be taking editorially? And any specific stories you want to pursue, for example?
Well, they are the issues we've been covering as Africanews, the issues that we have already been following, but now they are taking a huge chunk of the debate on peace and security in Africa. Let's talk about pastoralism. Their movements now are forming a more complex nature of insecurity and even war. People are dying. Take an example of Nigeria in Kaduna, where there's been communal clashes among herdsmen. And if you go go to the Horn of Africa, this still exists. People are fighting for cows. The thing the African Union is saying is that we need to think about the new forms of conflict, and this is what we will follow most definitely. We are talking about conflicts that also emerge from simple things as early marriage, sexual harassment, gender-based violence, sexual preference, the things that before were never a big issue in Africa, but now they're a source of insecurity.